his value was not appreciated. Even when he taps into the nature self, she won't value him. So when her taps into a whole person and starts to see some of the character, the her will either see him, if he hasn't tapped into him, by accepting that this forged reality is just forged, and seeing him as a whole through pressure reacting. If she thinks he needs to change and she's not aware of the her image that is also has an influence on him, her is seeking control and power over him. But once the him taps into the nature self and get rid of him, when her sees now him instead of him, she has no power. So we are saying the only way for the her to have more power is to think that him exists, but at the same time, even when she finally finds out that him exists, she will still use an influence to have power over him. That fulfills her as the image. But the him needs to tap into him and get rid of him through pain, learning, because it's the pathway forward for him. And now the her knows him doesn't exist. And the him doesn't exist even when at first it had an influence. She will have pressure realizing that it's only him, because now him is unpredictable. Him is himself. Him doesn't explain. Him doesn't chase. Him doesn't apply mind games. Him doesn't expect. And him only moves on through learning and experiencing to be a stoic man. And through this, her will expand her territory to have a better forged reality for the him to bend, because the her thinks it is him. Now, when the him already knows, that is the nature self, is aware that she doesn't exist, can easily screen this character that has pressure and has created a forged reality. And him will learn that we don't have the same values, so we can't build a serious, stable relationship together. And will be thankful that he learned to gain more experience and wisdom. But again, we are all just performing. And you are performing so that you can tap into the nature self. The nature self will still perform to gain experience, knowledge, and wisdom. When her will eventually come back, the her has expanded its own territory. Her will seek control and power over him, only to realize the him doesn't exist, the him doesn't exist, and the him is nowhere to be found, because the him can't be controlled, can't be influenced. It is unpredictable. And in that, we are saying, we end up realizing that we are just all performing to create a forged reality through perception. And we are modifying the present to the future by our past. And our past has been saved by him. The same way she will always exist and access her past to forge the present and expand her perception through the past. Because she's not just seeing the present as the present. And in that, she adds more pressure to the image. And we are again saying, as long as we expect, and if things don't happen to our expectation, we get disappointed, and then we want to forge, respond, play mind games, pull back, act cold to get a specific result. For that result is what fulfills our image. That is when we add more pressure to that image. And that is supposed to get rid of this image and not modify it so that it can have a better perception of a forged reality. Because a better perception means increasing that consciousness to experience it more on a different level, and it will be too hard to access the she nature self, and she is creating more space and bases to the she. If the she existed and the him existed only through experience and wisdom and genuine love and care, there won't be space. They will only be coming together, creating, learning, and experiencing to create a healthy environment that is a clean consciousness that is healthy to a humankind's brain. And through this, there will be challenges, but both of these, nature self knows, is there to experience and learn, and not to modify each other in ways that makes each other feel in control or in power. This is what creates a clean consciousness moving forward in a healthy relationship. Because even when there is pressure from the outside, okay, the she and him knows what it wants. That is the nature self. Because the she and him knows, at first, it doesn't exist. Secondly, we are all here to experience and learn and gain wisdom and knowledge, and not to control or influence each other in an unhealthy way. At the same time, we are all here to perform. And a character that is healthy to a humankind's brain, it means that character, it is healthy to our nature self, and we can build a healthy relationship moving forward. So as long as it is healthy to a humankind's brain, not to him, a humankind's brain, then it is healthy to us building that relationship. So we are not doing this for the her or for the him. We are doing this for the humankind's brain, that is to create a clean, clearer consciousness that is healthy to a humankind's consciousness, to a humankind's brain. Now we become one of the movement that creates a clean consciousness for us to experience, learn, and gain wisdom, and not to have control and power over an elusive forged reality. Because it's all a narrative, and to say who has the power, who is in control, who has more knowledge, who is better than who. For that is what makes the image of what we think it is who we are feel safe. The ordinary is a creative forged reality that fulfills a perception of safety. And it's not on a lens of, is this a healthy consciousness to a humankind's brain? It is on a perception of, this is what makes me feel safe. And we all know, as long as there is perception to create a forged reality, there is conflict and division. And once there is conflict and division, that is the consciousness that is unhealthy to a humankind's brain. But that home is safe for the I image. That home that we have created, that safe environment that we think it's safe when it is unhealthy to a humankind's brain, it is safe to the I image. It's not safe to the nature self. As long as it is safe to the I image, not nature self, It's expanding the I image on a forged lens that is a forged reality. So it's expanding the I image and getting rid of the nature self. And expanding the I image to get rid of the nature self, it's what modifies a perception of reality that is forged, which creates a consciousness that is not healthy to a humankind's brain. And that image is part of the movement that is creating this consciousness.